Hi again. Now that we have renovated our basement and we have it leased out, there's been some time to reflect on the most significant lessons learned. Welcome to part 3 of our series on remodeling our basement and renting it out for $1,700 a month. I would say the first lesson we've learned is to install a separate HVAC system. We went through about 8 months of sharing a central air and heat system between us and the tenant. In the winter, it was okay because heating the basement caused the upstairs to be nice and cozy. But once the warmer days hit, we realized the difficulty in maintaining comfort in both spaces. During the warmer days, the upstairs would heat up, but the basement would still be chilly. So we couldn't cool the upstairs without freezing out our tenant. I mean, it would be 69 degrees in the basement and 77 degrees on the second floor. And that was only on a day where it was 85 degrees outside. So we went ahead and bought a Mr. Cool system from Costco. It was about $1,500 and had it installed by someone highly recommended and they had to drill through 10 inches of concrete. You can see them starting there. We weren't ready for that. Even though the Mr. Cool is a DIY system, we did everything else except for the drilling part. We were able to run the electrical by ourselves, which saved us thousands. And I think I'm going to go into more detail on that process in a separate video because I could not find anything on YouTube or Google to help us with it when we were installing. Lesson number 2, screening tenants is crucial. If you saw my second video, you will know that we use Furnish Finders for our leads, and from that site, we have now secured our second tenant, and she started out as a 3-month lease, but has now extended and will be 6 months in total. We're really happy. She's been an all-star tenant, super flexible when it came to any kind of disruptions because the electrical box is down there. We hate to bother her, but she's been super great. Our first tenant was on a 3-month lease for her traveling healthcare job. And then, she went back home when it was done. And it really was a relief when that contract was over because there were some issues that I don't really need to get into, but I'm glad we didn't have to deal with it for a longer lease. So there are pros and cons to having a midterm lease. If you get a good tenant, you want them to stay longer, but if you get not so great a tenant, then they're going to be gone fairly soon. And we do credit checks and we do video chats before we finalize the agreement to make sure that we're both good fits for each other. For example, we don't want to disturb a night nurse who needs to sleep during the day. I'm very upfront that I have a 4-year-old daughter who jumps around, and even though we try to be extremely considerate, we just want to make sure the schedules align. And again, also on the other side, we want to make sure the space is suitable for the tenants. It's really best suited to a single person or maybe 2 people. But we've had inquiries like that one where it was 2 adults and a baby and 4 dogs in our studio apartment. We immediately said no because that simply made me question their judgment. But we do have to be selective as this is our home. It would be a different situation if this were a separate house, but we share a wall with these people, so there is a relationship that needs to be established and maintained. The third lesson learned is to invest in soundproofing, and this I realize is exclusive to if you are renting out a portion of your home. The main floor of our house is laminate flooring, and I don't think there's any insulation between our floor and the basement ceiling. So our day-to-day normal activities, the sound does travel. So in efforts to mitigate it, I read that rugs were a good, intermediary, a good it's a good choice to mitigate the sound without completely installing carpet or any kind of other expensive mitigation measures. So we did that, and I just want to highlight this rug from Laloy and Magnolia Homes on Amazon is amazing. It's the softest rug I've ever felt, and it comes out of the washing machine perfectly. The dried Play-Doh is completely gone. And under it, we put a 1/4 inch rug pad, which provides ample cushion. I don't think anything thicker is necessary. And also these sound panels you'll see in the middle, I did stick them on the outside of the door inside the basement. I think they help a little bit, but I think having them inside the entire basement would work a lot better. So number 4, the layout decisions matter more than size. And so if you saw in the second series of this, the second video in the series, we were originally going to turn the entire footprint of the basement into a proper 1-bedroom apartment, but I'm glad we just made it one large space. My husband thought that a 1-bedroom would be more favorable and bring in more money, but I felt that difference was negligible, and I think I was right. And the plus side is we still get to keep the other side of the basement as our laundry area. So I'm very happy we went with the big open space. And the last lesson learned is it doesn't have to be perfect. The deficiencies that we were worried about, we found weren't as important to the tenant. I was so worried about things like the aesthetics of the entry area and the walkway not being perfect, but our tenants haven't mentioned it. They've mentioned things that they like, how we are in a single family neighborhood. There's a family upstairs, living upstairs, and that one person even said that there's sunshine here instead of living in a previously dreary, rainy area. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get started and make improvements along the way. Would we do it again? Yes, in a heartbeat. And I actually want to invest in other properties. We could make double the rent if we rented our basement out as an Airbnb, but I wouldn't do that in our own home. I would be much more comfortable doing that in a separate location. Between having the quicker turnover and not having to share a wall, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable. And if and when that happens, I will fully document the journey. I hope it does. And I just want to say thanks for watching. More to come.